You are strapped into a coffin made of thin sheet aluminum, wrapped in 90 gallons of high-octane aviation fuel, and the only thing separating your chest from the steering column is a few inches of empty air and a thin layer of fire-resistant cotton. The air around you is thick with the toxic stench of castor oil, unburned fuel, and the cold, damp sweat of 22 men who know that by Sunday evening, at least one of them will likely be dead. You look at the man sitting in the car to your right, his face obscured by a leather mask and taped goggles, his knuckles white as he grips the wood-rimmed steering wheel. He is your teammate, your closest friend in this travelling circus of speed, and you are both silently calculating the odds of surviving the next 2 hours. Underneath your seat, the massive V12 engine comes to life with a deafening, metallic scream that vibrates through your spine, blurring your vision before you even touch the gear lever. This is the golden age of Grand Prix racing, a time when the cars are beautiful, the tracks are lethal, and the men who drive them are treated like gods, right up until the moment they disintegrate into smoke and flame. You did not choose this life for the money, because the pay is barely enough to cover your travel, and you certainly did not choose it for the safety, because safety does not exist here. You chose it because the alternative was a slow, quiet death in a grey post-war world, and you wanted to feel the absolute terrifying edge of what it means to be alive, even if it only lasts for a season. Your journey began in the cold pastures of England and the dusty hill climbs of Europe, climbing the invisible ladder from cars that felt like toys to machines that began to fight back against your inputs, chasing the speed and ignoring the graves of those who came before you. Now you have arrived at the pinnacle, signed to a factory team whose owner is a tyrant who sits in a dark office behind black sunglasses, viewing you not as a human being, but as a replaceable component of his engineering masterpiece. Your life is now a blur of luxury hotels, champagne banquets, and the constant underlying hum of adrenaline that never quite leaves your bloodstream. But you see the look in the eyes of the crowd, the morbid curiosity, the way they watch you walk through the paddock, looking at you the way they would look at a man walking a tightrope over an abyss. They do not just want to see you win. They want to see if you can beat the Reaper one more time, and they want to be there to witness it if you fail. You quickly learn that friendship here is a fragile, dangerous thing. To become too close to another driver is to invite a specific kind of grief that will break your spirit when the inevitable happens. You remember the first time you saw a car go off the road at Spa, launching into the pine trees. You did not stop, because there was no rule to stop, and you had to drive past the column of black smoke for 50 laps, watching the orange flames get smaller as the fuel burned itself out. The tracks are nothing more than closed public roads winding through villages and forests lined with trees, stone bridges and telegraph poles instead of barriers. You learn to drive with a map of the track burned into your brain, memorizing every bump, knowing that a single lapse will result in a violent, fiery end. When you sit in the cockpit before a race, your heart is hammering against your ribs, and your hands shake with the sheer anticipation of the violence about to be unleashed. The flag drops, and the world disappears in a wall of sound and smoke. You fly through the corners on a knife edge of throttle control, slipstreaming your rivals at 180 miles per hour, your wheels turning just inches apart as you fight the wind and the bumps. For 2 hours you fight the machine, your muscles burning, your mind screaming for release, until you cross the finish line and the checkered flag waves. You climb out of the car, your body spent, your face covered in soot and oil, and you look at the trophy in your hands. It feels cold and heavy, a monument built on the bones of your friends, and you realize that the victory is not that you won the race. The victory is that you survived. You walk away from the podium, leaving the champagne and the crowd behind, knowing that next spring the engines will scream again, and a new batch of young men will climb into the aluminum coffins, dreaming of glory. But your time in this dark arena is done. You have beaten the odds, and you are going home, one of the few who lived to tell the story of the deadliest era of racing.